broken hearted. No silent prayer for faith departed. And I ain't gonna be just a face in the crowd. You're gonna hear my voice when I shout it out loud.
But certainly the Mercedes
It's my life, it's now or never. And I ain't gonna live forever. I just wanna live my life. It's my life.
side in the traditional Kuda lumping dance. There you go, there's your fact of the day.
Wow.
So sunrise has just happened. Beautiful morning here in Jakarta. Very warm, very humid, which will be a topic of conversation over the course of the day. But Stoffel van Dorn arrives as the championship leader.
Yeah, absolutely right. He's just made a little break, hasn't he? He hasn't only not scored points in one race so far. That was round 3 in Mexico City. So he's looking good. He's got good confidence. Nice couple of podiums in Berlin. Let's see what he's got today. Right now, though, for the drivers just sitting in the garage, that's the worst part. There's no air circulating. You just sit baking in the car. So they want to be out on track as much as they possibly can in this next 30 minutes to learn as much as they can about the track, but also to get some air circulating and cool down from these very hot conditions.
We're in the region of Ancol in North Jakarta, so over to the right-hand side was Jakarta itself, and then we're on the north, as you can see, with the beach on the left-hand side, and that is the top part of the sort of northwest of the Java island, which is the island that Jakarta is located on. Indonesia, a collection of islands, and that is Jean-Eric Vergne, two-time Formula E champion, and he is third in the standings coming into this session. And the pit lane opens and Vergne heads out on the track. Now, they did do shakedown yesterday, but you're only allowed to run at half power, less than half power, for 2 laps. So, and we're in some classic Formula E territory here, aren't we? One day, brand new circuit, lock up for Nick de Vries, and now it is about just getting on top of everything and correlating basically from the simulator to what you've got here in real life and for the session later on. And you can see huge wide entry into the first corner.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at the dust as well. The lots of lockups heading straight out the pit lane. I'm surprised it's dusty because they made a big effort to try and clean the track yesterday. Brand new surface. But yeah, incredibly dusty, which you're going to see a lot of track evolution. We've only got 2 30-minute sessions before qualifying, and it happens really quickly. So teams trying to learn, as you say, Jack, as much as possible, try and correlate what they learned in the sim and see if it all matches up. As we discussed earlier on the way to the track this morning, you cannot afford to make a mistake just because of the schedule this morning. It's so quick. Qualifying comes up in a heartbeat, and the race not far behind that. So you've got to find a limit, but you do not want to go over it because it might ruin your whole day.
That's the hairpin right-hander of turn 13, slowest corner on the circuit. The 2 Mercedes are now into the final corner of turn 18 and out across the line. And they're running very much together here, aren't they? Which is
attention all teams, attention all teams. This is race control. Full course yellow. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow. Full course yellow.
Practice full course yellow deployed by Scott Elkins down in the bottom right there. With the headset on. Well, they've all got headsets on, that's not really differentiating him, is it? But we're doing a practice full course yellow just so all the marshals get used to it. And the first international single-seater race in Indonesia since 2006, so good to get these practices in.
What was that? Was that
attention all teams, this is race control. Full course yellow ending in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Green flag, green flag.
So they get back underway. Yeah, it was A1GP. None of these drivers actually were in it. Sebastian Buemi would have been in it, but for some reason didn't. He was doing the rest of the season, but then got replaced or swapped, I don't know, by Neil Jani. There were Neil Jani, Salvador Duran, and Hopin Tung, all former Formula E racers, raced in that race in Indonesia, in Jakarta, actually, South Jakarta. But none of them here. Sandberg in the Jaguar.
I'm just watching the cars over the bumps already. There's quite some quite sort of medium frequency bumps, which the teams were talking about yesterday. At first, I think, you know, a lovely smooth surface, but you can definitely see that the cars are going to have to deal with some of those. You're trying to keep the tyres in contact with the tarmac as much as you possibly can.
So De Vries, after doing the initial running right behind Van Dorn, now backs himself off a little bit of wheel spin on the exit as he comes over the line and down towards the first corner where Van Dorn is at the moment, turning into the right-hander. That's at 1, and now he gets right up to the wall before swinging it into 2 and 3. Robin Freins had a big moment there in shakedown yesterday. Then a left-hander of 4, and this takes you around the curve, around the Ancol Beach City Mall, and into turn 7. Car looking very lively.
Yeah, I think it's down to a lack of grip. Look how dusty the circuit is. But the other thing to note, the car hasn't been straight yet at all during the lap. There's been turn 1, 2, and 3 are taken as one corner. It's just the whole circuit is the constant curve. One of the straight points is breaking into turn 13, so you're going to see big fights for real estate into 13 later on this afternoon.
Then you come out into turn 16, where attack mode activation is located here at the bottom.
Banked corner.
Yeah. Van Dorn now into the final corner of 18, out across the line, and the timing line is here underneath the lights there, where Van Dorn goes through now. Oh, I think that De Vries just went in a bit deep.
Push turn 1, then cool down.
Ian James not watching, just on the phone.
He's multitasking.
Yeah, exactly. And Van Dorn goes quickest and push into turn 1 and then cool down was the message from Stephen Lane. For what it's worth, Van Dorn did a 1 minute 10.681.
So
and there is Mitch Evans.
Thing to consider, Jack, obviously the circuit's cleaning up a bit. There's going to be a bit of rubber going down. The grip's going to increase, but the tyres are going to overheat. You know, 1 or 2 laps, the tyres are just going to continually overheat, lose grip because of that, get them out of their operating window. And if you look at the surface, it's very dark, which means as soon as the sun gets on it, the temperature's going to go up even quicker. So that in itself is going to be a massive challenge this afternoon. Not even this afternoon, in qualifying as well later this morning.
Mitch Evans, very happy to be leaving Berlin. When I spoke to him after the race on the Sunday, hasn't had a huge amount of success there as Evans, and a 5th and a 10th weren't what he was looking for either for he and the Jaguar team. Lucas de Grassi has returned to the pit lane in the Rocket Venturi, and now he's heading out again after popping into the pits. Is he the only driver that him and Mortara both just came into the pits? Everybody else staying out there, maybe to cool down a little quicker by coming into the pit lane. The 2 DS de Cheetahs are trying to keep out of people's way. Antonio Felix da Costa had a little trip to Bali to do some surfing before coming here to Jakarta. Apparently the surfing is more dangerous in Bali than in Portugal, where he usually goes, because of the coral reefs. You can cut yourself on a coral reef, apparently, and da Costa did.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Wonder if his team know that.
Well, I did ask him, is it in the contract that you can't go surfing? And he said, yeah, but I don't care. So,
ooh.
Yeah.
Having some incidents in my life out with the car, you definitely care when you do injure yourself and the team then stop paying you.
Yeah.
It suddenly becomes very critical. Oh, big bump there, going into 7, and a correction of oversteer. That's interesting. So Antonio Felix da Costa right up against the wall on the outside going into 7, and he discovered a new bump in the track.
Mortara still in the pit lane at the moment. Da Costa coming up towards 13. 11 and 12 look fun.
Oh yeah, that whole section looks really good fun. DaCosta's car doesn't look fun though. It looks like it's sliding around a lot at the moment. Maybe he's got it set up for more of a grippy track. You can see as he gets to the brakes, the back steps out. Just listen to him actually rather than listen to me here. Yeah, you've got to say the DS Cheetah looks a bit oversteered, the back sliding, less grip in the back of the car right now than the front. That will improve as the rubber goes down in the circuit.
How difficult is it to, like, remember that? Do you know what I mean? And not, here's a look at the bump coming into 7, quite a few actually.
Yeah, about 3 of them.
Oh. But like not set up the car for the track as it is, but for how it will evolve to be.
I think some of that's experience and some of that's just the way your mind works, and you have to think about what you want from the car later that afternoon, and with experience and any formula you understand what you have to do to achieve that, Jack, and understanding the surface, the way the tyre wears, all those things. That's where the experience of the driver and the engineer comes into play.
Jay Penske, the boss of the Dragon Penske team, watching his driver Sergio Sede Camera coming into turn 13.
I think with the conditions of this track and the unpredictability that's going to create this afternoon, I think we could see Sergio Sede Camera qualifying pretty well today. He's got that ability, hasn't he, just to pull those 1 laps out of not seemingly nowhere, but he's got the ability to absolutely wring the car's neck. Very impressive.
Made it into the duels for the first time this season in the first race in Berlin. Could have been in the duels were he not in the barriers in Rome. Evans and Bird both pit in the Jaguars. Lotterer pits as well in the Porsche. A little lock-up from Van Dorn as he comes into the first corner. Lucas de Grassi is currently quickest for what it's worth, the 1 minute 9.7. And here's Nick de Vries coming into turn 18. The final corner. And quite wide and not too far from the barriers there, de Vries.
Yeah, it almost looked like he couldn't turn in because the back of the car was sliding. He had a sort of couple of goes at correcting to the left, and he just didn't want to turn, and eventually, as you say, Jack, was getting close to the barrier, so he had to. You can see, almost looks like they're putting water on the tyres to try and attempt to cool them down a little bit.
Jake Dennis here. 1 podium so far this season, a 3rd and a 5th in the opening weekend in Diriyah, but hasn't really got back to those heights. Jake Dennis was hoping for a good result in Berlin because they went well there last season. Wasn't to be. 2 13th places for the British driver. And he's 1.2 seconds down after the middle sector, but probably not on a full push lap here, or certainly not at a 250. Maybe a 220 push for Dennis as he comes into the final corner. I don't think we've seen anyone at 200, and that I like 17 as well. It's a bit more of a corner than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, just wait till about 30 minutes into the race this afternoon.
Yeah.
The tyres are torched, so that's going to be a proper corner. Yeah, there's a bump right in the middle of the straight. You see Jake Dennis going over it, and you can hear the noise of the cars go over the curbs on the inside of the corner. Yeah, I think this is going to be a difficult place this afternoon to race. You see Roger Griffiths, team principal of the Avalanche Andretti team. He looks like he's perspiring already. It's it was humid when we got here at 6 o'clock this morning.
Robin Freitz and the Envision. Looks like the engine cover was about to come off, I think, so maybe a bit of setup work going on at the back of the car as we look now at Max Günther in the Nissan. Only 1 points finished for Günther so far this season, which was a 9th place in Mexico City. His teammate Sebastian Buemi has picked up 3 points finishes, but 2 14ths in Berlin were all that Buemi had to show. As Günther now comes through the sweepers at 9 and 10, you can see the mark on the ground where the cars have been bottoming out, and then into 11 and 12 and down to 13, the hairpin. The 2 Nissans running together.
Just watching the way cars go around the circuit, I would say that the grip level is probably surprisingly low for the teams right now, and it's going to be fascinating to see how much evolution there is, how much the track improves with every lap, because we're nearly halfway through this session already. We've only got another half-an-hour session before qualifying, and you've got to set the car up to run at 250 kilowatts qualifying power if you get for the duels, but you've also got to have that with those 1 laps at 200 in the group stages. So you've really got to work on 2 different setups. I know your theory, Jack, is you'd work more in the 200 just to make sure you're in the duels.
Yeah.
And then the worst you can start is 8th position.
But no one agrees with me.
I think it's
everyone just does 250 all the time.
Yeah, everybody wants to be top of the timesheets, don't they?
18 minutes on the clock. Evans now goes to the top of the times, a 1 minute 19.2.
Sam Bird, P2, so Jaguar 1-2 at the moment. Just the cars are not straight. We've talked about it a little bit, but and that just overheats the tyres. It just tortures them the whole time. So, and it sounds like the guys were expecting that from what they did on the simulators, but I think the reality is probably quite shocking. I think it's a great track.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not easy.
No, I'm a big fan of this track so far. It's all a bit. There's nothing. There's no like Mickey Mouse bits, as we say. You know, it's all proper corners, flowing corners. Okay, 13 is slow, but it still is kind of part of the whole vibe of the track.
Yeah, I love a slow corner. You got to have a hairpin, especially one with a wide entry like that. That's going to be interesting to see how people choose to take that corner this afternoon. Whether they try and defend on the way in, or or take the normal line. But God, that's such a wide exit out of turn 1. See the Grassy through. Or sorry, out of Mortara through 4-5, through the kink in 6, and over that bumps now into 7. And again, you're hitting those bumps, but the car's not straight, so that'll make their life interesting.
Into 9 and 10.
And then just to make things more difficult, the sun's coming up.
Yeah.
And the sun will be in the driver's eyes through a couple of corners.
Mortara now down into 13. Second place in the championship. 12 points away from Stoffel van Dorn. 2 pole position, had never had pole position in Formula E. And then 2 came along at once in Berlin, and then finished first and second. He's in a great run of form at the moment, Edoardo Mortara. As he comes into the final corner, maybe held up a little by Antonio Giovinazzi, but he did get out of the way in the end. As he comes out across the line.
Those 2 DNFs, second race in Rome and then Monaco, that really sort of blunted his championship aspirations at the moment. But the fact he's still P2, I think that shows how strong the rest of the season's been. And as a customer team, with Mercedes EQ powertrain, they've done such a good job this year.
Yeah, really tremendous. Here's a look at Antonio Giovinazzi. Personal best in the first sector as he comes onto the bumps into turn 7. I just wonder with Giovinazzi what we'll see this weekend, because it is a new track for everybody, which hasn't been the case at any point so far this season for Giovinazzi and for Ticktum. They've been sort of playing catch-up the whole time.
There was a caterpillar on the track. I was just watching that. Giovinazzi's, I think he's struggled to get his head round the way to race a Formula E race, but then even the car, he's used to massive downforce Formula 1 cars on big slick tyres. These cars are designed specifically to slide around a bit, no aerodynamics, and it's almost more difficult to get back into a slower car than it is to go into a quicker car.
14.5 minutes to go, so we are over halfway through the session now. Cassidy slots into 10th place. Giovinazzi goes to the inside of Oliver Rowland. Here's a look at Giovinazzi at turn 13, getting quite wide.
That'll be the limit.
Yeah.
You can see when all the dust is coming up, that's not conducive to grip.
Here is Jean-Eric Verne in the DS Techeetah, coming out through 9 and 10. Through the quick 11 and 12. Then into 13, and he's 3 tenths up at the moment on Mitch Evans' time, which is quickest currently, but Verne is in attack mode here. So this is going to be our first 250 kilowatt lap, first full power lap of the session, I would suggest, as he comes into the final corner now. Through the right-hander, out across the line. And does Verne get ahead of Evans? He does by half a second. So that's the first full power lap, a 1 minute 8.703 for Jean-Eric Verne. 13 minutes to go.
Yeah, looked fairly under control, which I did not expect.
Yeah. Well, the track is getting cleaner all the time. Giovinazzi back in the pits. Tyre change for him. Lock up for Cassidy coming into the first corner. 11th on the timings at the moment and 13th in the standings. Had his best, well, his joint best qualifying of the season in the second race in Berlin, but the team had already decided to bring a new powertrain into the pool. So as a result, had to start from the pit lane and then serve a stop-and-go penalty. So his second race in Berlin was effectively over before it began. But that little flash of pace in qualifying was a much-needed encouragement for Cassidy, I think, because he's struggled a little this year, considering how strong he was last year.
Yeah, I think exactly right, Jack. I think he was so strong last year. But as a driver, he'll know that he did his job. Regardless of where he started or what happened, you know,
Yeah.
he knows that he did his job. He knows that the car felt good for him, and that'll give him that, as you say, that confidence. And like all sports, you know, racing is a lot about confidence and not second guessing yourself when you're driving the car.
Cassidy here behind Jean-Eric Verne as they come into the first corner. Backs off a little. Does Cassidy to give himself a bit of a gap to Verne, who's still at the top of the times. Here's a look at Cassidy coming into 7. Getting right up to the wall. Sylvain Philippe and Mike Lugg, the managing director, and the can't remember the exact title of Mike Lugg. Chief technical man.
Engineering person.
Chief engineer, that's got to be it. It's got to be chief engineer. Maybe it's chief engineer. And this is their other driver at Envision, Robin Freitz. A little adrift after no points on the first day in Berlin after a horrible qualifying. But then 5th on the second day was a little better. Qualified on the front row actually, but ended up slipping back, missed attack mode, which cost him a place or two, but was kind of happy with best of the rest and felt that he wouldn't have been able to really beat the Mercedes anyway.
Yeah, it looked like a fairly interesting day for him in Berlin. Just looking at the attack mode, you talk about that, the sensors have been placed in quite a tricky position. They're near the end of the attack mode activation zone, the 3 sensors you've got to cross, and I think it's going to cost a lot more time than maybe at first looked, and especially as the inside of the corner is banked as well, so if the people that stay on line will be able to carry a bit more speed than they normally would through a 90 degree. Oliver Turvey up to P2 in the Neo.
10 minutes to go. A reminder, hashtag Jakarta ePrix on the social medias. Also at FIA Formula E on all the social medias if you want to keep up to date with everything that's going on over the course of the day. And there's also the live hub at FIAFormulaE.com/live, where you can get race day coverage and live timing and exclusive content on there as well. So that's how you can keep across all the action today, of course, as well as joining us here. Natalie points out it's technical director, Mike Lugg is technical director. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, Natalie, yeah.
9.5, not chief engineering man, which is, I think, a better title, but up to him.
It's more distinctive.
So Turvey second, as you say. This is his teammate Dan Ticktum, and he's 5.6 seconds off, so he's not pushing this time, but he might go on the next one.
Could be a prep lap, yeah.
Yeah, that's a reasonable lap from Turvey, and the qualifyings for Neo have got a bit better, actually. There is attack mode, right on the exit of turn 16.
It is awkward, which is great for us.
Ticktum qualified 14th in Monaco, Turvey qualified 15th and 14th in the 2 Berlin races. So they've had a car inside the top 15 the last 3 ePrix, Neo.
It's starting to look a bit better. There's some light at the end of the tunnel for the Neo guys. It's good to see. 7 points scored so far this season.
Eight and a half minutes on the clock. Here comes Oliver Rowland on the power on a 200 lap out of the final corner. No, I think he's gone full power actually as he comes across the line. Might be doing a fan boost test, so we'll see. Yeah, it's gone off now, so I think it was just a little fan boost as he comes into the first corner now.
You can see he used a different line to start that lap, a wider turn, and to get a better exit to accelerate across the line. We'll see that in qualifying this afternoon as everybody starts the lap.
220 kilowatts, of course, in the normal mode, and then 250 in
I'm just
qualifying.
nodding. It's even written here in my notes.
Yeah.
You can see that they're not using all the road out of the sort of turn 8 area, and that's just because they're trying to prepare for the next corner, turn 9. Oliver rolling through turn 12. That is a great section. That whole, and I think that could definitely catch some people out this afternoon as people start pushing harder.
Out now towards turn 18. Because I like that. I really like 17 because you've got to get it back over so quickly, so you can't use the whole road.
Exactly right, and I think that's true for so many corners on this circuit. It's true for turn 3, 4, 7, 8, because it's just combination after combination of corners, and it's a real rhythm section of a real rhythm type of track.
And when we see it again, you'll see that there's sort of a dotted entry to the pit lane and then a solid entry to the pit lane there. You see the dotted bit, they're allowed to cross that when they come out of the left-hander, but then they can't cross the solid bit of the pit lane entry. Here comes Andre Lotterer then, full power, and let's watch him down towards turn 1 then. The German who has he's avoiding the bumps quite dramatically there, isn't he, into turn 1?
Yeah, must be running the car low if he's doing that. Dead
the only
line.
driver to have made it into the qualifying duels every single race.
He still hasn't won a race.
No, he still hasn't won a race.
Unbelievable. Today could be the day. Again, this car is low. Look how it's hitting the bumps into 7, which is why he avoided those bumps on the main start-finish straight.
Had a few days in Jakarta, meeting some of the locals as Andre Lotterer on his Instagram, which is always a fun thing to follow.
He's got some proper cars as Andre Lotterer.
Yeah.
He loves his old cars as well.
Fastest middle sector of anyone. He's a 1/10 of a second down on Jean-Eric Verne at the moment. Turn 16.
Bit of understeer through 16, the front of the car sliding.
Very tidy through 17. Let's see what this does compared to Verne. Third. Just under 2 tenths away. Jake Dennis currently in second place. Incident between De Vries and Da Costa has been noted by the stewards, so not sure what happened out there with De Vries and Da Costa, but something has. As Roland now comes through the sweepers down towards 13, and he's a 10th down. He's in at 250 kilowatts as well here. A 10th down after the middle sector, and he's got a bit of traffic up ahead, and the traffic doesn't really get out of the way very much. Antonio Giovinazzi.
Bit naughty from Giovinazzi there, and from his engineers not to tell him what's going on.
Giovinazzi into the final corner, less than 5 minutes to go across the line. Roland goes 4th fastest in the end, a 1/4 of a second slower than Jean-Eric Verne. And there is Da Costa back in the pit lane with 4 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock.
And this track doesn't discriminate. It tortures the left and the right side tyres equally. You've got as many left as right-handers, so with setup as well, you've got to be very symmetrical on the setup of the car. Some of the tracks have got so many more corners in one direction that you can maybe change the setup a bit to turn better left or right. Not the case here in Jakarta.
Line 2 taking a bit of a wide line, or a different line, let's say, into the first corner to avoid the bumps. Oliver Roland was saying on the radio that the tyres are going off very quickly. And it's not even that hot here at the moment.
Not yet. It's humid. But again, that is something that for this afternoon, that's going to be so difficult to do tyre management. See Oliver Askew getting out of the way a little bit, maybe held up Pascal Wehrlein. He's got the next Avalanche Andretti car ahead of him, Jake Dennis.
Can you do anything in particular to help tyres, or is it just driving? Because obviously you don't want like a slidey car but you don't want a slidey car anyway, presumably.
Yeah, you've got to just drive within the grip level and not slide if you can, which is obviously easier said than done. If you can keep the car just within its grip level of the 4 tyres, then that really helps. But every time you slide, the tyre temperature goes up, so the car slides more, so the tyre temperature goes up. It's the most vicious circle to get involved in. And obviously, the guys can help with the dampers and stuff to give you that extra mechanical grip that you need.
Okay, and then a big cool down now. Big cool down now.
Big cool down. This is De Costa and De Vries. Oh,
What was
that's a big old moment. I think that feels like it was De Vries trying to get out of the way at the last minute, but De Costa had already committed to try and go past on the inside.
Absolutely right. I don't think there was anything. I just don't. Yeah. Was he getting out of the way? Because his teammate was in the same line as him, straight ahead. Yeah, I mean, it looks like, I don't think there was anything. Oh, now we're going to have a little chat. Okay. It's like, yeah. Let's see if there's any hand signals.
Interesting. Interesting.
Hey, what is going on with those two?
2 minutes to go.
Call it that, it's gone. I mean,
Yeah.
that's half your practice gone.
De Grassi is now...
Hey teams, this is race control. I want to ask you to please have your drivers respect the cones at the pit entry. Respect the cones. Do not cross that line on driver's right, please.
Respect the cones at pit lane entry. So that's in the pit lane itself, I think, rather than this left-hander here. De Vries is up after the middle sector. Chucking it around 17.
You did say you don't use all the road in 17, but De Vries begs to differ.
Across the line. And it's third quickest. 1 minute 8.667. A few other quick laps coming in right at the end of the session. As you can see, the tower lighting up purple because people are in full power runs currently. And Nick De Vries goes third fastest, almost has a collision with Sebastian Buemi. Those are the cones that we're talking about here. So they've got to keep to the left of those cones. I doubt anyone's... Oh, maybe it's when they're coming into the weighbridge or something.
Or they might be cutting the corner.
Yeah. But they're not going to be whacking the cones, are they? Well, maybe, yeah. De Vries feels like Stoffel Van Dorn blocked him a moment ago.
Oh, inter-team. De Vries
so-
is having a bit of a morning.
He is, isn't he? There he is in the Mercedes EQ, having just done his lap. Here comes Stoffel Van Dorn, his teammate.
Will he repay the favour? Stoffel Van Dorn locking up the inside front into 13. No. Gets out of his way.
He's 6 tenths down after the middle sector. Oliver Rowland's actually flying. Here
Lucas
comes
de Grasse
Van
at
Dorn
P1.
now. And De Vries is just in front of Rowland. Here comes Van Dorn into the final corner, and I think De Vries got in Rowland's way a little bit there as well. So we'll see what the lap time is in the end for Rowland. Van Dorn goes 15th and takes the checkered flag. Rowland goes quickest. A 1 minute 8.433 for Oliver Rowland, and I think that might end up being the quickest lap time.
by the Mahindra team, Oliver Rowland.
Yeah. Here's Sam Bird. He is only 2 tenths down after the first 2 sectors.
He's pushing.
Sorry, he was 2 tenths down after sector 1. He's half a second down after sector 2.
Dare I say he's overdriving a little bit, Jack. We're talking about not sliding the tyres. It looks like Sam just doesn't have the mechanical grip. Yeah, just to back it up a little bit. Not push quite so hard. Easy for me to say sitting here in the air conditioning.
Here comes Bird through the final corner after that little lock-up at 16. And Bird doesn't actually improve on that lap. Ends up 12th fastest in the Jaguar. And he's not happy with the balance on that car, Sam Bird, on the radio. And that's it. Rowland's going to end the session quickest, a 1 minute 8.433. Oh, but Buemi nearly got him right at the line. Only 900ths away, Sebastian Buemi. So Mahindra and Nissan, first and second.
Good to see that. I mean, 8th and 9th in the team's championship for those guys. Nice to see the pace. See them run up front. Let's hope they can do that again when it counts in qualifying later this morning.
So practice starts coming up. Very difficult to read too much into that session though, because you've got De Grassi there in third, Dennis in fourth. Championship leader is Stoffel Van Dorn. He's down in 16th place in the end, slower than Oliver Turvey. Eduardo Mortara, 11th fastest, so there's an awful lot of things to shake out before qualifying gets underway. As you can see, 7:46 in the morning here in Jakarta.
Just look how wide the track gets.
It's going to be
entry to turn 1.
Yeah, are you expecting some, like, off the line? That's going to be quite something, because you're going to be also at, you know what, this is probably, I'm just trying to think of anywhere with a longer run to the first corner. Maybe Mexico. Diria, I think this is longer than Diria.
Yes, it is.
Maybe
it's a decent sized run. Rome's a reasonable run now because it starts down the hill. It's a reasonable run, but I think this is longer.
I think this might be one of the longest runs.
But it's so wide. Yeah. What do you reckon? I think in track guide I said 7 wide.
You think we'll get 7 wide?
Well, you might. At this lot, you might. You just never know.
No, that's so true. We'll be back in an hour or so for free practice 2.
Just like that.
Yeah.
The teams have got to debrief. The hardest thing for the drivers, I think, or one of the hard things, is they can't get out of the humidity. They can't got to find an air-conditioned spot. So hopefully their sort of driver pods are air-conditioned. I guess there's a bit of a battle of the paddling pools going on, where everybody's got these ice baths out the back.
Yeah, allegedly so.
Yeah.
The teams were saying the drivers were saying on Thursday they were comparing paddling pools and which ones the teams were going to go and get. So I've not seen any just yet. Were you a paddling pool kind of man in your racing career?
No, absolutely not.
Really?
No.
Cold,
why? Uncomfortable.
Oh, too cold?
Yeah. No, it just. No, I just never.
But were other drivers doing it?
Yeah,
or?
some of them were jumping in them, and it just looked. Yeah, the ice bath thing just looked uncomfortable. Possibly benefits, I don't know.
Yeah.
Comfort is everything, Jack.
Jaguars is up. Jaguars is up out the back of the garage. It's a nice blue and orange number. Here's a look at the results then. After FP1, Oliver Rowland Clickett's to 1 minute 8.433. 900ths ahead of Sebastian Buemi and Lucas de Grassi in 3rd place. It's like being back in season 3. Jake Dennis is 4th, Jean-Eric Verne 5th. And look at that, less than 2 tenths between the top 6. Antonio Felix da Costa, De Vries, there in 8th place. Just over 2 tenths, the top 8. Verline, Freitz and Mortara, the 11 drivers at the top. And then Nick Cassidy, I guess, didn't get a run in. I imagine, well, the Dragon Penske's a little struggling. Good 18th fastest. Stoffel Van Dorn only down in 16th position, the championship leader. But, well, we thought he didn't seem to get too much traffic, but nevertheless, quite a long way down.